Alright, so in this lecture, I want to show you how to handle web tables using Cypress. So I am back on my practice web page. So just do not think that trainer is teaching everything in this practice page. So take any real-time app out there on internet. You will not find any application which have all these UI controls. Okay, so whatever site you take, for view websites you might have auto suggestion but not select drop down. You may not encounter checkbox radio buttons for one application, or for few you may not see the switching tabs. So this is powerful application where we brought all the UI controls where any QA will come across commonly in their real-time life on automating. So just because you don't see a rich UI called banners, images, you feel like this is a practice page. But if I add proper banners, images, something like that, and I can make this site fancy to look more real-time feel. Okay, but whatever controls you see here for UI, they are very stable and strong enough, just like any other web application. Okay, so this is one place where you get access to all UI related controls which you can automate with your automation tools. So that's the reason I specifically working on this website to tell all the real-time scenarios. But don't worry, we will pick one e-commerce practice website after we complete looking at these scenarios, and then we will try to build framework on that particular web application. Okay, we will start that soon within 2-3 lectures. Okay, so assume that there is a web table like this and you want to check whether price is 25 for master selenium automation in simple Python language course. Okay, that's your scenario. Okay, you have a test case to validate whether the price is 25 or not for that particular course. So how do you validate? That is a question. So you cannot tell that I will just write CSS for this row. Today this course is in this particular row and tomorrow it can be on the first or third or last based upon its popularity. So you don't know on which row this course will come. So you basically have to scan your entire course column and you have to find where you are getting this master selenium automation. So once you get the hold of that row, then you have to move to the next column of the same row and the grab price of it, and then you can put validation. So first of all, finding this course title in the course column is easy because we have done multiple examples regarding how to iterate through an array to find your desired text. But here logic is, once you got your desired text, you have to capture that row information and you need to move to its sibling to find out the price. That is the tricky part here. How do you do that? Okay, so let's try to start working with these things. Firstly, we have to figure out for which row we have this course, and then we can focus on how to get price for that particular row. Okay, so for that I will create one more new test. Sorry, test 5. You can just come back to your rahulshettyacademy.com. Just for that window opening we have used another website, qaclickacademy.com. Okay, so it will take some time to migrate. We are hoping that by end of this year we will bring this website fully live with so much of content, consulting, and you will know that whenever this is live, and you will be very excited with the way I am bringing the things. One single place where you get whole information about testing. Anyways, I don't want to market much right now. Let's come back to our course. Okay, So we have already saw a lot of examples on handling the arrays. So let me take a step from there. So right now you have to provide a CSS selector that should select all the courses in this column, so that then you can iterate through each and every index whatever this array have. But how to write CSS which gets all the all the column elements? So if for these customized things, Cypress may not help. Okay, so if you ask Cypress to provide this through CSS, it gives for you. Okay, this is the CSS for that particular Selenium WebDriver. But if you ask Cypress to provide the entire column CSS, then it cannot do. So that's the reason you should have the ability to create locators on your own without relying on any other tools. Okay, so by looking at this, firstly, if I go to crow path and say tr, all the rows are selecting, right? But I don't want all the rows. From tr, if I move to td, so all the columns are selecting, but I want only the second column because second column have course name. So how do you tell in CSS that pick the second column out of all the TDs? So in XPath, if you want to write XPath for second TD, you can simply write like this, TD of 2, so that only second column will get highlighted everywhere. But in CSS, the syntax to write second index is nth child 2. Perfect. You see that only exactly all the second column is getting highlighted. So that's the reason I told that initially when I'm talking about this, I clearly told there is one more CSS selector of finding nth child, and this is the syntax. If you want to get the second child of TD, you have to write like this, colon nth hyphen child of 2. Okay. Right. So this brought me the complete columns list. You can clearly see that how these are getting highlighted. So I'll go to my editor and say that get me all the items of that column. So once we got, okay, so there is error here. Let me, okay, I need to close another it. For this it and the describe. In column. Okay, perfect. Looks good. So you know that now $even element is nothing but for every array iteration, for first time it picks this, and for second time this picks second row, and third time it picks the third row second column. So you can now simply ask to get me the text, make sure it is E1 or EL, maintain consistency of writing common thing everywhere. So if I want to grab the text, I can place the text into one variable for further comparison. So when you put it in variable, you can either use var keyword or const keyword. Const stands for constant. Okay, so JavaScript allows var or const. It's up to you what return type you use. Both are valid. And text. Now I am grabbing the text present in this column. For the first time, this column will be written and I am grabbing it. And when the loop is iterating second time, it will return this column, and third time this returns this column. Okay, now when if text dot includes, I can just put a regular expression that if this text includes Python, because no other course have Python keyword, so I can simply write if text includes Python, then now our actual tricky thing starts. You can actually simply get the column of that Python course with this step, which we are seeing from last few lectures. So this is not new to you on how to iterate through array. Okay. Now the major new to you here is how to actually find row amount. Okay, you found this fine, but how do you exactly grab this one? Tricky thing here is to find the immediate sibling of it. Now let me explain. If you try to spy on 25, look at here. We are here now and we need to move to this next TD. And you cannot give space and give tag name to move here, just like how we are doing for other examples like parent child traverse using tag name. This is not parent child mechanism. TD is sibling, TR is parent. These three are child to this TR parent. Now when you are a child of second TD, and if you want to move to third TD, you cannot give space like TR space TD. You cannot work like this. If you want to work like this TD should be child of this TR parent. But here if you want to move to 25, this is not parent, this is sibling. Both share common parent, so obviously it's a sibling. So how to immediately find next sibling in Cypress? If you are on second TD and if you want to find the very next TD, so there is a method called .next in Cypress which will help you to exactly go to your next sibling. But how do you write that here? So let me go back to browser and show you what is this next method in Cypress. It clearly tells you that we are not on right page. Cypress siblings. I think this is the one. Right, next. So this command describes that it can get the immediately following sibling of each DOM element. So this is the immediately following sibling for our TD. Right now we are here. So if you use next, you will reach immediately on 25. And how to use that? Look at options here. The next immediate sibling should be performed on get. Okay, so the query behavior of this command match exactly how that works in jQuery, because in jQuery also we have next method, and they were telling that correct usage of this is to apply on the get command. Okay, but here we were not on get command. We already resolved this get and we got actual element. On this you cannot work .next. As per their documentation, you have to use next on the get method only. So now how to use get here and do this? Right now in $even we were actually at this point. So we thought that we can simply apply $even .next so that it moves here. But unfortunately their documentation is telling that you have to apply that usage on the get method only. Now if I use get method, how do I again move to this point? Because we did all hard work to move to this Python with the $even. So logic here is again use the same cy.get of what you have. Okay, and then you may think that then what is the point of doing all this? Hold on. So every time when your array is iterating, this, did you observe this index keyword? This index variable is also updating. For the first time it will be 0, index 0 for first iteration. For second iteration it will be 1. So that means when we were running here at 0th iteration, selenium will be there, and when the iteration is on the first, index will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So basically when you come inside this block that matches with Python, at that time this iteration of this loop will be on the 7th time. Okay, on 7th loop it found it. At the same time index also updated to 7. So with this loop, now you have an advantage that you know on which index your Python is there. Okay, when this comes into that block, in this variable we have number on which row it is actually there. So when you know row, remember on the first lecture I have explained that EQ is a method where if you have index, you can pull that particular element by passing that index value. So similarly, now you know that row, right? Dot EQ and just pass index. That's it. Now it will exactly give you the same element again what we got here as $even. Okay, we were doing in this fashion because next will be applied only on this get. Now EQ method is nothing but pulling up the 7th get. So still you can apply dot next on it. Okay, so now this step will actually bring you again to this point, and thereafter you can apply next to reach this. Okay, nice. So this is how you can move to your sibling from your desired element. Right, now you have to get the text of it. You have successfully moved to your sibling with next method, which is great. But what is your purpose here? Your purpose is to grab this 25 value and then compare if this is actually matching with your expected value, which is also 25. But you cannot apply text here. I clearly told that this is a jQuery object, and if you attached that to Cypress, then Cypress will not resolve a promise and it confuses. So you have to resolve this promise first, and then only you can apply text. If text is Cypress command, then you can directly concatenate like this. Okay, but you cannot concatenate now. Even if you do this way, promise resolving will not happen automatically because that is non-Cypress text method. That's the Cypress, sorry, that's the jQuery object, right? So that's the reason. Now let's resolve the promise with the dot then, and price is our new web element. So basically this whole sibling element, whatever we were extracting, will be resolved and will fall into this variable. Now inside you can simply say price dot text. Okay, so make sure you use then method to resolve promise, and inside you have to declare function like this and pass the argument, and then you can act upon this. Price text. Okay, so now you can use expected value to actual value. So we have already seen expect comparing two strings, right? Yeah, like this, expect to equal yours. So here expect price text dot to it should be 25, right? 25. Okay, so this is how you can dynamically get another sibling of your row. So this is very important for interview purpose. people will ask you question on how do you find dynamically the specific column I'm looking for, then your answer should be that I will scan the existing table with that specific column and I will try to find out this text. But the main trick here is to write a CSS which exactly grabs all the elements of this column. Okay, so writing the CSS is challenging here, which will give you the all the items of that column. Then you need to iterate with each method, and once you find your text, then to move to your sibling you use next method. But in Cypress that is not applied on promise variable as per the documentation, because initially I just put $even.next here. I don't know, I did not read documentation thoroughly and I ran into failures. So then I came back and read their official documentation, and then I understood that it should apply on the get method. So then I wondered, how do I get it? Then I saw this index variable, and then I remembered that there is a method called EQ which will extract the index what we are looking for. So with our iteration this also got updated, so I pulled out that index and then I successfully applied next method. Then again I ran into problem that if I use dot text here, promise did not resolve. So then I realized that text is a jQuery object, so I resolved this promise and then I applied text and finally I compared. Okay, if you note down each and every concept what I told from lecture 1, this particular topic will look easy for you, because we already discussed that text cannot handle why, because that's promise thing, and how to handle and resolve promise, or how to array, go through an each of array element. All this we have discussed in bits and pieces in previous lecture, right? So here I'm trying to bring all the concepts together. So if you don't understand the exact Cypress architectural concept, you may not understand this example. So that's the reason I have taken my sweet time in the beginning lectures to teach all those concepts. So slowly I push the gear and then doing these advanced examples. Okay, so let me save this project, and this will actually trigger the application, and let us see how this goes. Perfect, you see that how quick the execution is. Expected 25 and actual 25. And move your cursor on this, it is showing that all these elements are highlighted. Out of all these elements, if I want 7th one, look at here how the master selenium is getting highlighted. And when I say next method, are you observing? It slowly moved to 25. So everything can be detailedly given in the test runner logs. So even if it fails, you can actually investigate here to understand where exactly it is selecting. Alright, so that's pretty much about this lecture. Thank you.